So having seen what the nail art airbrush can do with Spectraflame transparent paints onto bare metal, we're now going to see what it can do with actual candy paints, where it's like a metallic with a transparent over the top. So we've got a few transparent paints here. This is a pink that I've created. More about that in a second. We've got some standard thinned out Tamiya red and some standard thinned out Tamiya yellow. And then on the other side we've got the actual Tamiya metallics that are going to be used as a base coat. So we've got a gold, like quite a nice deep gold. We've got the silver, standard silver. We've got a bronze, well, copper, bright copper as they call it, but I've made it brighter still by adding a little bit of silver to it, so it really is a bright copper. And then we've got this unruly concoction here, which is the Tamiya silver metallic as the base, but there's some transparent red in there, and there's some crimson ink, which I'll show you in a second. So there's crimson ink in that one. And then in the transparent pink, that's actually ballpoint ink. I mean, it's the same principle. You can, like I say, you can tint the Tamiya metallics with ink. You can tint the clear Tamiya with ink. You just need to watch the ratios. You need to make it so that it's about one part of the ink. See, this is the crimson ink here, so it is literally just pen ink. You need about one part of that to sort of 10 of the other types of paint. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with it. So first up, it's old Matchbox Escort RS2000, which we're doing in that metallic pink that I made out of the Tamiya silver, plus a little bit of crimson pen ink and a little bit of Tamiya red. You've got to be careful when putting this on. I mean, this is its second coat, because you've got to remember that, and this is the Porsche 911. We're just doing that with the same stuff. So that's those over with, and then we're on to the Tamiya Gold. That's going on the front half of the Honda NSX, or Acura NSX, I think it says on the base. Same gold for the for a Mustang 2. That's it's not a Tamika, but it is a copy. Apparently the body is a copy of a Tamika, but it's like a cheap unbranded thing. But it looks nice, so I thought we'd see what we could do with it. And then, so back to the NSX, because I'm doing that in like a two-tone fade, so this is where the copper is going to go on the back half of that, just to sort of fade it round to the gold at the front. So yeah, I got quite a decent bit of footage of this one, so it gives me a chance to talk about what the about how you've got to be careful with the ink-based ones. I mean, because these are just standard Tamiya metallics that are going on here through this airbrush, so that proves that the airbrush is absolutely fine and can cope with those all right. I mean, really, if I was less of a renegade, maverick, and loose cannon at this point, I could probably just lacquer that and call that done. But I'm not going to. I'm going to put some transparent over the top because I'm a madman. Yeah, this is what the pink that I put on the Escort was leading up to. It's getting some red transparent Tamiya put over the top. The idea is to try and make the most violent shade of metallic red I can possibly come up with. The kind of red that looks edible. That's what I'm trying to achieve with this one. So, but yeah, this is just standard Tamiya thinned red, so it's just as before. The 911, I'm doing something slightly different because it's got the same pink base coat on it, but this time I'm trying to create a fade using the transparent. So there's no fade on the base coat, but there's going to be a fade on the top coat. So I'm putting red. I'm putting the same standard Tamiya red that you saw me putting on the Escort. That's going on the back half of this, so it should give it the same virulent red that the Escort's got. But then what I'm going to do, as soon as I'm satisfied there's enough red on there, I'm just going to change to that pink, not the metallic pink concoction that I use for the base, but the transparent pink that I made from the Biro ink. That's going to go on, and hopefully it'll create a nice sort of fade. So here we are, it's going on now. So this is kind of the moment of truth. This is where we'll see whether this one's worked out. Just getting a bit on the inside just to test it out, and then I'm sorry you see more of my freckly hands than you are of the castings during this, but I'll show you plenty of the castings at the end to make up for it, and to hopefully try and sort of help you to erase the memories of seeing such horrible hands. But I mean just hands, but they're my hands. So if I want to make out they're like really horrible, I will do. Maybe they are. Anyway, so yeah, that's just about. I think we're just about at the end of this one now. So what have we got coming up next? Am I going to actually get a chance to tell you about? No, I'm not. Yeah, I am actually. This is the same pink that's going on to the NSX. So we did using the Tamiya metallics as the base. We did a gold fade into a bronze, and now we're going over the whole thing with that same transparent pink that I just did the front half of the 911 with. So yeah, what I've been trying to say for a long time now, but I keep having to sort of change what I'm saying, and now I'm wasting even more time. The metallic pink base coat that I've been putting on, you've just got to be careful applying it because there's actual pen ink in there. So you've just got to be very careful and let it dry. Just do it in thin coats and let it dry completely in between coats, because if you put too much on at once, the ink will tend to make the paint run. That's all I've been trying to say this whole time. So yeah, this is the top half of a Matchbox Pontiac Fire Up. Dates back to the 80s. They've got like a separate top and bottom half, so they're absolute sitting ducks for doing a two-tone job with, really. At this point, we're just going to concentrate on the top half. I didn't actually get around to doing anything with the lower half, so that'll be later. But it is quite interesting what I do with the top half, to be fair. Here we go. We're not wasting any time. We're straight on with it. So we're putting over the gold that we've just put on it. We're putting more of that transparent pink onto it, which creates what I thought it might do. Quite a crazy looking metallic orange. So yeah, I got some good footage of this. So just to recap where we are so far then. So the Tamiya metallic paints, I tend to thin them down around about 40%. Again, as with the clear paints, I tend to stick to using the Tamiya thinners with the Tamiya paints. It all seems to work well together. If you're just using a standard Tamiya metallic as the base coat and a standard Tamiya clear, one of the clear colours as your top coat, that's really all you need to know. Just thin the pair of them down by roughly 40%, spray one coat on, leave it, let it dry, spray the other one on, and you'll get a really nice result. Like whatever colour combination you've picked, really, you can't really go wrong. All you need to know in addition to that, if you're going to be sort of going off-piste, off-menu, and creating like strange colour variations like I like to do. Oh yeah, this is that Mustang 2 that we did in the gold. We're just going over this with standard Tamiya yellow. So this is just what I was talking about. This is one of the nice straightforward ones, really. And as you can see, it's coming out with a very nice deep gold yellow. But yeah, just remember when you're if you're trying to make a crazy colour by putting some ink in or tinting it with ink, whether it's ballpoint ink or the calligraphy ink, like I used to make the pink metallic. It's the same principle whether it's a metallic that you're adding it to or a transparent one. Just keep the ratio down. Keep the ratio down to sort of less than 10%, somewhere between 5 and 10%, because the ink isn't really meant to be there, so you don't want too much of it. Now, this is the NSX, which, yeah, it looks nice. It looks a nice sort of, I don't know, geranium pink or lobster pink or whatever you want to call it, but it had the effect of making the whole thing look the same colour. I don't know how, because there were different underlying colours, but that pink just seemed to tint them so they all look like one. So I've gone over it with some standard Tamiya yellow on the rear half, just to create some actual colour difference. And then with the Mustang 2, I then went over that with the transparent pink as well. So this is where we are. You don't always have to use a lacquer on these to get a shine. In all of these I did though. Probably the Pontiac Fiero and maybe the 911 didn't absolutely need it, but I thought as I was doing the other three, I may as well just do that at the same time. So this is what you end up with, and I've deliberately filmed them in a little bit of sun just so you can see the true potential of those colours. Strange how I'm not sure why I've gone for all warm colours. There's no greens or blues there, but we can. I didn't do it on purpose. There'll be other videos where I use other colours anyway, so maybe that would warrant a video all of its own, just blues and greens maybe. That doesn't sound like a bad idea when I say it out loud. So yeah, that's it really. It's pretty similar to the last video with the Spectraflame type ones. Again, if you're using if you're tinting it with some ink, just keep the ratio low, because like I say, the ink's not really meant to be there, so you want to keep as much of the actual content of it paint as possible. Thanks for watching. See you next time.